Overloading is a chess tactic in which a piece has too many defensive tasks at once. Think of it like this. You come home from your job or school and you have too many assignments to complete. You are overworked. To make this easier to understand, let's dive into an example so we can understand what overloading is. In this position, it's white to play and win. This is an example, so I'm just going to explain it. Here, white sees that this queen is the only defender of this very important pawn. If we can take this pawn with our queen, we can force checkmate in two. The rook would be forced to go up, and then we would take this rook defended by our knight with checkmate. So, the white pieces here plays the really nice move rook d7. And now we are targeting this now overworked queen that cannot defend f6 anymore and defend this attack from the rook. So the black pieces must decide. Do you take the rook and give up mate in 2 here, check, king, rook g7, and then we do checkmate? Or do you play something else, like taking away the knight that would enforce checkmate and give up the queen for compensation here, but it's still very winning for the white pieces. In this position, the queen had too many defensive tasks against her in that she could not fulfill all of them at once. That is what overloading is, and welcome to 10 levels of tactics of the overloading tactic. In this video, I'll give you 10 tactics ranging from 0 elo to 2500 plus for you to test yourself with, for you to gain knowledge and experience over the board, and most importantly for you to develop this tactic in your toolkit. Let's dive in to level 1, elos 0 to 500. In this position, it is black to play and win. And may I remind you that all the positions are from the white piece's perspective. So the pawns, the black pawns are going down the board and the white pawns are going up the board. This is how you know what side you're on. So it's black to play and win in this position. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you a minute. In this game, played in the 2010 Czech Open, hi to all my checkmates out there, here black plays the very, very nice queen takes d3. Actually, in the game, they didn't find this. They played b takes a2 check, the king moved to a1, and black simply could not stop this mate that's coming on. Let's say anything you play here, queen e3. White has this really nice checkmate, rook here, king takes. That's a decoy tactic, which I've made another video on. It's going to be right here if you need it. Queen h1 check, so we decoyed the king onto an undesirable square, and then we have checkmate in 2 moves. That queen was defended by a bishop. All that to say that the black pieces resigned prematurely and instead had this very winning queen takes d3. And what happens with this queen takes bishop is that we are overloading this rook. This rook has too many defensive tasks in that defending the first rank and defending against this fork here, technically a fork, right? And so the white pieces have to choose. Do they move their king to a1 would be forced only move and just give checkmate on d1, not an option, or take this queen, and now black would have rook e1 check. And now the rook has given up this first rank, a very important first rank, because this king is about to be back rank checkmated. The rook goes back to d1, and now rook takes d1 with checkmate. If you found this mate in 3 moves, congratulations, you move on to level 2. Welcome to level 2, elos 500 to 800. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. In this problem, it was very key to see that if we take on g7, the rook takes on g7, and we could have checkmate on this king if it weren't for this queen zapping through the board and taking our rook. So all the way back here, we need to observe that white has this really nice first move, rook c8, check. And here we are kind of back ranking the king one more time, but it forces this queen to be overloaded. You see, the queen has too many defensive tasks, defending g7 and defending this back rank and having to take in this rook. If black does nothing here, the only move is rook e8, to which we just take the rook with checkmate. And if you take my rook with the queen here, then we can play the tactic queen takes g7, sacrificing the queen, rook takes g7, and then rook takes rook for checkmate here. What a beautiful checkmate. And if you saw this, welcome to level 3. In this level, it is ELO's 800 to 1000. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. In this position, it was important to see that we would like to play knight e7 check on this king. The king moves away and this rook is only defended once. Therefore, there is a breach on the first rank. So, the solution is we wanted to play queen d5 check. This move mimics checkmate on the king. In other words, the king can't move anywhere, but they can block. You know, you can play this, we take the queen, you go up, we take this with checkmate. We are overworking this rook on d8. This piece is overloaded between defending the back rank, sort of like problem number 1, I'm starting to think that these are two alike, and defending kind of this fork, or really this checkmate threat on the king. And so the black pieces have to take this queen, and after that we play a lovely tactic, knight e7 check, forcing the king to h8, and then we bring our rook all the way up and take this rook on f8 for checkmate. This is what not to do in that position, taking the seemingly free queen on h3. If you do that, you run into knight f2 double check, as you can see here on the board. The king is forced to play because it's a double check, and then the knight will pick up our queen, and we haven't gained anything. Welcome to level number 4, ELO's 1000 to 1200 ELO. This one is getting a little bit tougher. I know the jump is high here, but it is black to play and win in this position. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. In this problem, it was key to observe that there's a lot of hanging things here. The white pieces are defending this knight twice, but also are defending this checkmate on g2 that the black pieces so dearly want to play. So this queen is already on that overload, right? Here it was important to find, kind of a hard move to find, but if you looked at it and you calculated a bit, you would have found it very cleanly. The move rook e1 check. And here we are not overloading one piece. We're overloading two pieces. We're overloading this rook, who has the defensive task to defend this knight and to defend this back rank. We have overloaded also this queen, who has per defensive task to defend this g2 square that was being threatened of checkmate and to defend this back rank. So if the queen takes the rook, it sways away from g2 and now we can have checkmate. And if the rook takes here, well, now the rook is overloaded from this defensive tasks on d4, and now we can do another overload tactic. We can play bishop takes d4, and now we are sort of pinning this queen to this king, and attracting the queen to take this bishop. Now, the queen, you could say, has been overloaded. It needs to fix this pin over here and take the bishop, or it has to defend g2. The reality is, we're checkmating here no matter what happens, because this queen is pinned now. So the queen is overworked, has to take this bishop, and now we have checkmate on g2. This was actually a game brought from an analysis of a famous game between Donald Byrne and none other than Bobby Fischer, played in the US Championship of 1963. But that's all in the past. Welcome to level 5, in which we have a problem for you that is 1200 elo to 1400 elo. In this position, it is black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. This is where it gets more obscure. You must have thought with the black pieces to look at something like queen f4 or queen h4, or maybe you even dabbled in this little sacrifice on g4. None of those work. You needed to look outside the box, and here it is. Here we play the astounding move rook takes f3. And what this entails is that we are overworking this queen on e2 and this king on g2. Let's sample both of the moves. First of all, we are threatening checkmate in 2 moves. So you're bound to do something about this rook, right? Because we took off the defender. So if the king takes on f3, now this opens up the white pieces to a very, very weak combo of a king going towards the center. And now with our 2 pieces left, we can formulate this beautiful tactic, bishop takes g4, checking this king and skewering the king to the queen, in what is none other than winning the queen here, and this endgame being completely winning for the black pieces. Okay, there's a second option. So after rook takes f3, you can also take with your queen, but this queen is also overloaded between the defense of this rook on d2 and the defense of this g4 pawn, which if you take this rook, you are defending g4 and that mate in 2. And so here, black can just take this undefended rook now with check. And if the king goes to g3, we have like queen d4, and black is up a pawn and is dominating this position. Although it looks equal here, the white pieces really have little to no play. This bishop is completely passive, and this queen here offers 0 to no counterplay for the white pieces. And so that was solution to level 5. Now we shall look at level 6. Welcome to level 6. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. This one requires a little bit of creativity. In this position, I know you tried maybe queen e6, or maybe queen e7 at that, or maybe even rook e7 looks really nice. But there's a piece here that is severely weak, and that is this rook. This rook is defending with its last limb this knight that is preventing the white pieces from just taking the knight and inflicting checkmate. So you needed to find a piece that overloaded this rook on c8. And that is the move queen c4. And this move overloads this rook, but not only that, threatens checkmate in one move. And by sacrificing this queen, the black pieces have really no choice but to either take this queen or take this rook 2 ways, both not working. This rook is also threatened twice. So yeah, just it's not even like black can escape this mate, it would just be mate anyway. So you really do have to deal with this queen. And so if you take this queen, we have rook takes f8 with checkmate. And if you don't, let's say you take my rook, I have checkmate anyways. And let's say you don't a second way, I have checkmate anyways. And let's say you want to block it, I have checkmate anyways, right? It's checkmate anyways. And This queen move is really hard to find, but once you find it, this problem is very easy. So that's why it's only level 6. In case you passed that, welcome to level 7 with the ELOs 1600 to 1800. In this position, it is black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. You know what to do. I'll give you 60 seconds. This game was played by two grandmasters. In this position, you need to see that there is a back rank problem first. And so the first really good candidate move is the only checking move that forces an outcome, which is queen a1 check. This would be checkmate if not for knight f1, blocking that check. So from here, you have to find this. In this position, we would love to play knight e2 check, this king would be forced back, and then we have queen takes f1 checkmate. But we can't do that because this queen defends e2. And that brings me to the solution. Right here in this position, we need to overload this queen from defending this singular square on e2. And so, in this position, mind you, this knight is defended, so you can't take. We have the move f5, and this is the key move to find in this solution. White's moves are very limited. You cannot go to e4 to keep defending e2. You cannot go to f3 to keep defending e2 because I would take your queen. And so you have to go to h5 to keep defending e2. And now you have run out of squares because I play g6. And now this queen has run out of squares. It is completely over in this position. Anything the queen does is losing, right? In this position, this queen is overloaded from defending this e2 square and having to move their queen. If the queen moves, now we have knight e2 check, king to h1, and queen takes f1 checkmate. And if the queen moves along this diagonal, we would just pick up the queen with check, and this position would be completely winning. Now we're getting into some dangerous waters. In this position, it is level 8. 18 to 2000 ELO chess problem. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. As we are getting into the very difficult tactics, I will try my best to be as clear as possible when explaining the solution. In this problem, you had to realize that there were two weaknesses: the back rank for the black pieces and also the g7 square, not the pawn, the square behind it. And so that's where you come up with this marvelous move, bishop f6. If you found this, really well done. Here we are threatening checkmate with the white pieces. You cannot defend checkmate, let's say with rook g8, because then I would play like queen takes g7 check, forcing this rook to take, overworking this rook off the first rank, and after rook takes g7, we have rook d8 check, rook takes, and now rook takes rook, and this rook is pinned to the king, and this is checkmate. So you have to deal with this bishop. And what does that mean? G takes f6 is pretty much forced. And now we take back with our pawn, very calm and patient, and we are again threatening checkmate. There are really not many defenses to this checkmate. In fact, there are two: queen takes g2 check, and the more serious one, rook g8. On rook g8, actually this is not that crazy. Here on queen takes, there is rook g8, which pins my queen to my king, but we have like rook d8. And now I'm pinning your guy who's pinning my guy. And once I take you, and this cannot happen. You have to take my rook, and this is checkmate. So that actually wasn't that crazy. It's kind of the same thing in this variation. If rook g8 here, to defend this g7 square, we are going to overwork this piece with rook d8. And so these two can be easily exchanged, and after that, it's really hard to defend this queen g7 checkmate threat. And so this rook is overloaded here between having to defend this first or last rank rather, and this g7 square. And so in this position, you can't really stop this queen g7 checkmate. That's going to happen next move. Whatever you do, it's just going to be checkmate. And so that was level 8. Level 9 is a tough one. ELO levels 2000 to 2200. This was taken from a real game in 1862. So roughly 150 years ago. 160 years ago. Wow, I feel old. In this position, it is black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. I selected this problem specifically because it offered a gorgeous solution. In this position, we are trying to overwork this pawn to gain access to a very weak diagonal that opens up. And so if you found queen takes d5, that overworks this pawn on e4 is overloaded. It has too many defensive tasks between defending this f5 square and defending this rook on d5. And so if you do nothing, like rook d1, I have a rook up. So that's over and, you know, GG's. But if you take my queen, now you have opened up this f5 square for my bishop to come in. Bishop f5 is the second move in this game. Checking the king, and here white have two options, though one of them is not really nice, right? King c1 just offers rook a1 back rank checkmate. Not really desirable. In the second move, you have to find this, by the way. It's a key defensive move from the opponent. White also has queen c2, blocking this. And it's not that obvious. If bishop takes, king takes, yes, it's still winning for the white pieces, but you have much, much better in this position, and you are required to find what black has here. And here we come with a second tactic. In this position, it is black who inflicts rook a1, check, deflects and overloads the king a second time in this game. The king is overloaded from the defensive task of defending this queen and just defending this mimicked checkmate here. So the king has to take on a1, and now we take this queen. And we didn't just like give white an extra rook. This creates a mating net on the king on a1. And here there is nothing white can do to prevent the checkmate threatened on the very next move. And so whatever white does, think of any move, any legal move for the white pieces, not the bishop off the board that just comes in. Any legal move, knight f6, h4, h3, and the response is still rook a8 checkmate. That is a very tough puzzle. And if you've made it through, congratulations, because you have now made it to level 10. ELO's 2200 to 2400. No, 2200 plus. 2200 plus is level 10 today. I guess this tactic is a bit easier than last time's, so 2200 plus. In this position, it is white to play and win. This is a complicated one. Best of luck, white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 60 seconds. In this beautiful problem, the overworkings are beautiful. They're just really beautiful. Here, you had to observe that there is a very nice knight and rook combination on g7, and pawns fall like dominoes, which means that after rook takes g7, this is the correct solution, forces rook takes g7, otherwise we have a pawn up and a very monstrous attack. Now we have created the weakening of this f6 pawn. And now we can take this, forking this rook and queen. And this is not even the overloading tactic yet. This just forces a queen to do a move, and now we take this rook, right? And in this position, we're threatening f6, and we're threatening this rook. We're threatening a lot of things. And so black is inclined to take this knight with a piece up. And here you had to find the move that adds pressure on this knight. It's hard to believe, but this is all pretty much forced. Queen f4, threatening this knight a second time. And now black has to defend with rook e7 to defend this knight. And now we will be overloading this rook from the defense of this knight with the key move f6. f6 attacks this rook and attacks this knight, and you simply can't keep up as the black pieces. If you move the rook along the 7th rank here, I will just take this knight with a very, very strong pawn, and this is very, very winning as well. And if you move the rook up, the only square to keep defending this knight, now I have rook takes e5, sacrificing the rook. Rook takes, and now we're overloading your piece a second time with f7. Beautiful, beautiful. f7 not only threatens this queen, keeps a hold on this rook here, and threatens queen f6, checkmate. Checkmate. Okay, you can play some silly games with check, but king h2, and now you have absolutely nothing. This threat is still very relevant, and okay, if you pin my queen, I have checkmate here. It's not that obvious for black. If queen f8, it's checkmate in 2 here. It's really not that obvious, so you can't go rook e1 really. And if you play queen e7, which is the obvious move defending a lot of things, defending f6, still defending this rook and keeping an eye on f8, well then there's just f8 queen, queen takes, and checkmate here. Very, very over. And so king g7 is forced to take out those mating nets, and then we take this queen, rook takes, and this is a completely winning position. If you're watching this and you completed all 10 puzzles successfully, congratulations. But as this happens sometimes in this series, we have a final boss. You've won the game, but this is just a winner's prize, something a little bit of a challenge for you. In this position, it is white to play, and generally, by the way, this is a study, so this is a composed, human-made chess problem designed for an outcome to be favorable. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem, I'll give you 60. Just a key reminder, these pawns are going up the board and are nearly queening, and this pawn is going down the board. In this position, it is in white's inclination to not play a7 first, to threaten to take a queen, because this lets rook g8 to defend both promotion squares. Instead, you want to play h7, which takes up this g8 square and prevents the rook from going down. And again, these are like human-made, so there's a reason why there's a pawn on b6 conveniently placed there, because it's to prevent the rook from going to b8, right, and to defend everything. So h7 is threatening to queen and forces rook to h1 to defend this promotion square. And now white does the same thing on the other side of the board. a7 to threaten a8, which forces the rook to a1. And now comes the overload. Rook d1. Probably the hardest move to find today. This is a double overload on 2 rooks. And whatever you do here, it's pretty losing. If you take my rook with the a rook, your rook has been overworked between defending the promotion square and defending this rook here. And so a8 queen would be just winning for the white pieces. Plus it comes with check, and I'll get the queen, another queen, so that's done. And if you take my rook with your rook here, then I have h8 queen, and this is also winning. If you take this pawn, it's winning this rook here, and let's say you play check, I go king e5, and attacking your rook, rook moves, and then I'll just queen myself, right? So we're threatening a8, it's pretty over. Black has nothing here. And then finally anything creative like rook h6 check, and then I have to go like king g5. And I'm still attacking these 2 rooks and threatening these 2 pawns up, and oddly enough, black has absolutely nothing here. If rook takes a7, still preventing the promotion here, we have king takes, threatening to queen here, and then on rook a8 we have like rook b1, taking this, taking up b7, and then this king goes to g7 and a pawn to h8, and it's over. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, for participating, and most importantly for liking this video so more people can enjoy it and practice their chess skills and learn about the overloading chess tactic. Thank you so much for watching today. Feel free to like, share, and sub to the channel. See you soon. More videos like this to come.